Hello there, my loves. It's me, Valeria Maria, back at it again. Thank you for coming to my channel and for spending this time with me today. Today I thought maybe I wanted to start this series called Reimagining Bad Movies. Today is the Bratz edition, where it's a segment on my channel where I just talk about, why this movie kind of failed in my opinion. I'm not a film major, I don't know anything about cinematography, so I can't really talk about, specific shots or scenery, but I can talk about, the character development and the writing in some way and the storyline. So that is what I'm gonna do here today. I'm gonna give like a review of what I think went wrong with the Bratz movie and how, in my opinion, how you could fix it. So let's start. I'm gonna divide it into 3 categories. I'm gonna divide it into characters, plot, and then I'm gonna say how I think I could have fixed it. Okay, so let's start. Is that they took these iconic, again, I'm sorry for being redundant, for these iconic characters, and they completely changed their personalities. For example, Chloe, as of what I know, because I was a mega fan, I had the Rock Angels, Pixies, like Diamond movie, she was never the klutz, she was always the drama mama, and this is stated by Sasha in various movies. When she gets completely over dramatic, like, the meme of that this escalated too quickly, that's Chloe. And the fact that they made her completely clumsy to the point of endangering herself, but then they gave her acrobatic coordination when it comes to soccer, was very unrealistic and very off, in my opinion. They should have made her more interested in drama club, because the actual Chloe, I think in a movie or a cartoon, she actually states that she wants to be an actress. So making her completely clumsy is so off for her, in my opinion. It is said in various cartoons that she has problems with academics, specifically science. So the fact that they try to make her more human with like the clumsiness and all that stuff, but it is completely taken away when she has this full acrobatic coordination in soccer. So maybe they should have made her more interested in drama club and being an actress, and then humanize her a little bit more with like her struggles in academics. Let's go to Jade, which was my favorite. My favorite Bratz was always Jade, and it was because she had black hair. I'm not gonna lie, that was merely the fact. Jade's personality wasn't written in such a bad way as it, in my opinion, as Chloe was, but it's still kind of off character, and by this I mean that Jade was the most interested in fashion. This is seen, I think, in the Rock Angels movie, where she gets her internship with Bratz for her magazine, and it is stated that she wants to be a fashion designer. I don't remember if it was the same movie, but in a movie or cartoon episode, it is stated that she wants to be a fashion designer. So even though fashion is an interest between the 4 of them, Jade is the one that excels the more in it. And in the movie, they gave her this kind of duality with like science and fashion. However, she is a secret fashionista. She has conservative parents, just like Mo from Lemonade Mouth. They gave her this duality. She's crazy good at science and fashion. However, her fashion side never really comes out that much. It is not that represented in the movie as it was to the cartoons. In my opinion, maybe they should have toned down the science part and gave her a little bit more of the fashion. That would have helped the plot a little bit more, because the plot seems very, I'll talk about the plot more later, but it seems very divided. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and maybe making her more interested in fashion could have given the plot and the personality traits a little, it could have gone smoother, in my opinion. And also, this science and fashion trait is actually shared by another doll or cartoon character. Her name was Noli from My Scenes. She was very good at math and fashion. So they in my opinion, they kind of copied that trait from her and gave it to Jade in the movie to make her a little bit more realistic. And the trait is not, or duality is not that bad. It gives the character a little bit more depth. It humanizes her, and so people can relate to her. However, it seems so forced and so fake that maybe they should have toned it down and gone with the fashion part a little bit more. Next is Sasha. Sasha, again, like Jade, she wasn't that badly written. However, there is a bit more sense with her cartoon self or doll self versus the human interpretation. And I say this because Sasha was very sassy. She was very into hip-hop and music. You know, her dream was actually to become a DJ. So the fact that they made her this preppy cheerleader type of person, you know, didn't suit well with me. And I say this because, you know, the cheerleader part of Sasha in the movie does have great coordination and she knows how to dance. However, they took something very unique to the character because out of all the girls, Sasha in their fashion magazine, Sasha was, you know, she always checked bands and listened to music, and this was something very special to that character, just like Jade was, or Chloe with acting, Jade with fashion, Sasha with music. You know, they kind of took their little special traits away and made them very generalized, and that just takes away from them. You know, it gives this movie this forced feeling and this fake feeling. However, they do have a good point, is even though the dialogue is very forced in her divorced parents trope, it's actually just like Jade's scientific part. I think it's a good way to deepen the character, you know. It's a good way to deepen the character and to humanize her and to make her seem more relatable. However, the way it's written, it's very forced. You know, when she says, "I'm the kid," that seems very forced. You know, they should have maybe consulted some psychologists, some child psychologists, and how it could have been more smooth, in my opinion. And finally, Jasmine. Jasmine, in my opinion, was the character that disappointed me the most in this movie. And it's because she's very boring. And, you know, they gave her this singing ability that should have, in my opinion, should have gone to Sasha. In the doll, or in the cartoons in this case, you know, Jasmine was very shy. She wanted to become a writer, and she is the one that writes the most columns in their fashion magazine called Bratz. You know, she's the one in charge of the columns. Jade is in charge of fashion, and Chloe's in charge of the arts, and Sasha is in charge of the music. So that's how they had divided, and they kind of took that away from the girls. You know, do give her a family. However, her family has nothing special. You know, they're not characters worth remembering. They're just characters that are there, completely forgettable, that are just there to help the plot move on. For example, her brother is like the pesky little brother that every teenage movie has, wrongs her for the sake of plot. And then her grandma is like the enlightened part that tells her, oh, just choose it the right way. Grandma is used to tie up the climax, and, you know, as her grandma is like the problem solution basically to everything. So her character as a whole is very forgettable. Her family is very forgettable. So you kind of lose that thing that Jade and Sasha have, like being a cheerleader and divorced parents and being incredibly good at science. They kind of take that away from Jasmine. You know, they make her and her family completely forgettable. So she's just there because she was one of the original Bratz. You know, she doesn't have anything special about her anymore, except because singing, you know, they make her singing as a personality trait, and it wasn't that. You know, she's obsessed with shoes, but shoes are not fashion. You know, they are fashion, they're used for fashion, but, you know, they're not different. You know, she's just wearing normal shoes. She's just obsessed with shoes, like I'm obsessed with shoes. But there's nothing special about that, of being obsessed with shoes. You know, her style, even though it is very bohemian, it is very true to the Gen 1 doll. She has nothing special to offer at all, you know, besides singing. And I don't think, you know, that doesn't stand out as much, you know, as the other girls. So she's completely forgettable. Her family's completely forgettable. Ability, because it can be used later. You know, it kind of seems like they forgot about Jasmine at some point, so they gave her this singing ability. Oh, she's a singer, that's it. You know, they don't deepen her character that much. Her family is not, you know, her family is not used as a tool to deepen her character. Her family is just the sake of plot, you know, just so the story can move on. That's what her family is, and that's the main issue. That's why she's so boring. and her family's so boring, and you know, you could have made this entire movie without her. And it bothers me because she's one of the most important characters. Now, we're gonna move on to plot. And this is where things kind of get like a little bit more heated on my part. The main issue with this movie is that it's not a representation of what Bratz is or was. To me, it seems as the company or the companies that made this movie were making it... Those are my dogs, I'm sorry. They were making it because of the movement of making live action movies out of character-based movies. I'm sorry, out of these cartoons was actually starting. So they were like, oh, we can make one for Bratz because it has a cult following. It would be easy, like easy money. However, the movie struggles with an identity crisis, and I say this because so the movie wants to be two things. It wants to be nostalgic and wants to be generic, and it can't be both. You can't do that with Bratz because Bratz, I think the special thing about Bratz is that they were not generic. They were different, you know, compared to the other dolls in the market, compared to the other cartoons. It was different, and by wanting to make it different at the same, because they didn't even try, you know, erase that, forget that. They didn't even try to make it different. They just wanted it to be generic with a cult following. You can't have both. That's why I think it failed so much, because it was a big disappointment. They needed to fully jump into the Bratz concept, and I know that these teenagers that are pixies / rock stars is very fictional, but they just needed to take the main trait of what Bratz is, the main concept of Bratz, and just grounded it a little more. In my opinion, they should have just made the girls they should have made the movie based on the girls wanting to start a fashion magazine in an adult world and how nobody takes them seriously and their struggles. That should have been a much better movie than the one we got. And that way they could have introduced Berdine and the Tweebles, which, following that line, it bothers me they didn't have either Berdine or the Tweebles. They had this generic rich blonde girl named Meredith, who, for them to make her different from other generic mean girls, they made her like weirdly obsessed with the social hierarchy in high school. Completely weird, in my opinion. And the thing is, like, this character is like very unnecessary, and I say this because if you've seen the movie, you know the girls actually separate by themselves. You know, Meredith wants them to separate. However, she doesn't force them. At first, she doesn't really force them. She's not like, separate, separate, separate. Or like, oh, Jade, maybe you like this. Sasha, maybe you like this. She doesn't really try that much to separate them. You know, the girls separate by themselves. So all the hate that the girls get from her is very undeserved. Like, I know they try at some point, they do go against her. However, Meredith's hate level is like really up here. And the Bratz are like floor level, basically. You know, it's completely undeserved, and this character is very not off top. This character is very exaggerated for no reason at all. She's very unnecessary. So they could have just saved that part, you know, if they wanted, because I know the character is played by a very famous actress, Chelsea Stad. I think that's her last name. If they wanted her to be in the movie, maybe they should have just done like a Parent Trap thing and made her the Tweebles instead of making her a new character, which, by the way, even though she's a great actress, that character is so awful that it could have just been erased from her entire movie. That's it. That's my point. Just chuck Meredith, put the Tweebles and Berdine back on. Now let's jump into the last part, which is how do we fix it. I'm gonna, like I mentioned before, I think the plot would have been better if they have started with Jade. You know, she's scientific and fashionable, both things. If they wanted that, cool. They should have just left it. You know, they should have started with her, oh, I wanna intern into this fashion magazine. There she gets into an altercation with Berdine and the Tweebles. You know, she gets kicked out. Her friends want to cheer her up. So instead, they retaliate with making their fashion, you know, just like the Rock Angels movie, how it starts like, oh, we're gonna start our own fashion magazine. However, the thing that's gonna make it different and more relatable and more human is that they're gonna be in an adult world. I'm sorry, in an adult world where these adults really don't take them seriously. They have to pay rent, they have to get part-time jobs, they have to, you know, maybe they could have chosen their high school classes in order to, like, classes that benefited the magazine, you know, for example, photography, writing, music, home ec, things that would have helped the magazine a lot more. They should have made them, or if that sounds like too much like the actual movie, they should have made them start the fashion magazine in a garage. You know, maybe their parents' garage, their grandparents' garage. They should have made them start from scratch, because in the cartoons, in the cartoons, the girls automatically, for some weird reason, maybe their parents are like super rich, they get an office right next to Berdine's magazine, and they just do a little bit hard work and everything's done. No, the movie should have centered on their struggle of wanting to have this magazine in an adult world, you know, maybe starting in the garage and then moving up, getting sponsorships, maybe the struggle of trying to take these Instagram like pictures. However, there's no good scenery around them in their town, so maybe they have to make their own scenery, and maybe have articles on how to take better pictures, how to upcycle, maybe incorporate the thrifting aspect, oh, how to upcycle clothes, like what's the best music. They should have made a more teenager, coming of age, inspirational movie instead of this generic, weird high school, like over the top high school movie, very exaggerated movie. They should have grounded it a little bit more. That way maybe you get the human aspect, you get the relatable aspect, and that way you could have gone the cult following, because you can't have a cult following and in addition bring in new people, because I know a lot of Disney movies and a lot of like other franchises do this, you know, they get the cult following plus a new demographic. Well, maybe if Bratz hadn't gone with this such an over-the-top concept and clownery, because that is it is completely exaggerated and clownery and boring movie. Maybe they should have gone for a more relatable aspect, and maybe that way they could have gotten the cult following plus a new generation of kids wanting to play with Bratz, because they're like, oh my god, they followed their dreams and they got their magazine, maybe I can do this too. So that is my 2 cents. Thank you for watching so much. You me on TikTok and on Instagram. My links will be down below. Thank you for coming, spending this time with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, or you might never hear from me again. So thank you. Goodbye.